I wasn't sure if I was gonna make it in time to see this movie because the AMC near me didn't have it anymore, the Regal didn't have it, so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna have to probably just wait until it's on streaming. But thanks to smaller theaters like AFI, I was able to catch this one just in time. The Farewell is written and directed by Lulu Wang and stars Awkwafina as Billy. Billy has just learned that her grandma is dying and her family is gonna go visit her, but they don't want to tell her grandma that she's dying, so they make up an excuse that there's a wedding happening in the family so that everybody can come together and see her one last time. Two things interested me about this movie. One, the premise, and two, seeing Awkwafina in a more serious role, because usually she does more over-the-top comedic roles, and I think it was definitely interesting to see her do something different. Overall, I would say The Farewell was a great time. There was great performances, beautiful cinematography, and a really good balance between comedy and drama. So let's get into it. So it worked. First and foremost, this movie looked great. From the cinematography to the locations, I think this movie was just very visually appealing. They shot it on location in China and New York, so you get a lot of great cityscapes. Another thing that really stood out to me were the performances in this movie, especially Awkwafina. I think she really carried this movie. Again, we're not used to seeing her in serious roles, so I think this was really refreshing, and I think she killed it. She did great playing this granddaughter who had to act like everything was okay, but really it wasn't, because she, along with her family, were the only ones that really knew what was going on, while her grandma was just kind of going on about, having the time of her life as if life goes on, because again, she doesn't know. So I think that balance was really interesting, that dynamic, and seeing how everybody's being affected by this tragedy or potential tragedy in their family. Speaking of which, the grandma, played by Shuzhen Zhao, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, was also amazing. Her dynamic with Awkwafina's character, Billy, was really what drove this movie. She was very energetic, she was very funny, and I think it made it even more tragic to see her going about her life, but then we, the audience, and the family know that her time is running short. Also, I think this movie was generally funny, even though the subject matter, the premise is kind of sad and dark. I think they did manage to find some nice moments to have some comedy between the family members, seeing them play off of each other. I think that really made this movie entertaining and really made me fall in love with these characters. But what I think worked the most for me in this movie, what I think really sold it, was how they explored the ethics of the situation and seeing them go back and forth arguing whether they're right or wrong to not tell her grandma that she's dying. And they mentioned in the movie, like, in America, this wouldn't fly. They would definitely make them tell, or the doctors would be obligated to tell the grandma, yes, you have cancer, you're dying. But in China, they believe, no, you should let these people live the rest of their lives happy, and not until the very last minute that they should tell her the truth. And so seeing this back and forth between the family members, I think really kept me intrigued, seeing their different perspectives. There's also an interesting discussion about immigration in this movie, where there's two sides to this family. There are people that stayed in China and those who left to find better jobs, better education for their children, better opportunity. And we see a clash between these two sides, and they're kind of arguing on who made the right call, who's really doing what's best for their family and the family as a whole. And I thought that was a really interesting conflict they added to this movie. The only thing I can think of that could have been done a little bit better in this movie was the ending. Now, there is a part where they do wrap up the story with the grandma well, and I think they did a great job of wrapping up things with the family, but then there's one scene towards the end where it kind of just ends, and then there's something in the credits, and then you're like, okay, I get it now. But I think they definitely could have done something within that scene to really tie everything together and really wrap it up. But otherwise, I think this was a great movie. The verdict. I think this movie was a good time. The Farewell offers great performances, beautiful scenery, cinematography, and it also has a lot of great messages about ethics and teaches a lot about Chinese culture. So I think there's a lot to get from this movie, and it's definitely worth seeing in theaters. But if you don't catch it in theaters, of course, you can always try and find it on streaming or just go buy the DVD. So have you seen The Farewell? What did you think? Let me know down in the comments. Also, don't forget to share this video, like it, and subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the next one.